meeting going. Mr. Parsons, would you mind leading us in the pledge tonight? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First, we're going to have recognition of the Allstate girls basketball participants. Mr. Roger Carroll. Huh? Rick. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm just going to make up names tonight. Just go with it. Jeez Louise.
Roger is too.
Oh man.
Try not embarrass him right now. That's right.
I know it.
Could have been
Yeah.
Jerry. That would have been a lot worse. Yeah.
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 Just pick a name, any name.
He's been
It's
called
all good.
worse.
It's all
Sorry,
good.
Rick. Sorry.
I'm surprised I was invited back after last year anyway. So it's good to be here. Well, I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk about the girls basketball team. I want to tell Mr. Foose, you look good. You're very dapper tonight. It looks good. I'm going to try and get a suit like that soon. Dan, you're doing well to represent the science department. So thank you, because I didn't. Okay. He looks good as well. Boss, it's good to be here. His bosses, good to see you. I know you're the people that we're talking about. So it's good to be here to communicate. I just wanted to mention we're here to recognize the Allstate player for the girls basketball team, but I just wanted to say we had 5 fantastic seniors on the team this year. They were great leaders. They were fun to watch. They were fun to coach for the last 4 years, and honestly, I can say that because they were good enough as far as skills and everything that they played it for us at some level at the varsity for some amount of time for their entire 4 years that they played for us. So it was really good to have girls like that leading the way for our athletic department and representing the girls at Green River High School. And of course, those girls were Megan Counts, Darren Macy, Sarah Wilson, Gabby Heiser, and Alyssa Cudney. And just really a joy to coach them this year and to have them throughout that time. Darren Macy can't be here tonight. She's her and Megan both basically spend their time going to college classes. So I saw them for practice and every once in a while at school. And Darren, I don't know, she's on vacation or something. I don't know. I think her spring breaks right now. She's in Jackson. She sent me some pictures, said she couldn't make it tonight. It was snowing pretty good up there, so she couldn't get out of town, and she was showing me the elk and stuff. So it was kind of nice to see that. She was this year, Darren was the first team all conference for us. She was second team all state. She's headed to Western Wyoming Community College to play, and she has already signed to play both volleyball and basketball next year. So we'll see her in the community, and she'll still be a part of some of the things that are going on in Sweetwater County. So we're excited for her and excited for her next venture into what she's going to do. For us this past year, she averaged 9 points a game, 2.4 assists. She was our point guard, and she had to kind of learn that on the fly. So very proud of her and proud of her efforts and what she was able to accomplish during the course of the year. And then we have Megan Counts. So Megan, come on up. This year, Megan was first team all conference for us. She was also first team all state. And that was a repeat from last year. She was first team all conference and first team all state last year as well. And she was kind of on the same track as Darren was. She goes to a lot of classes at Western Wyoming College. I probably exaggerating a little bit, but they'll probably have their associates here in the next couple of weeks for all I know. Okay. I know they're really good students. That's one thing I can say for all of the seniors we had this year. They're all in National Honor Society. They're all, I don't know, Darren may even get the chance to speak at graduation, she told me. So we'll see. But Megan will be playing in the Wyoming Coaches Association's All-Star game in July this year. She's invited to do that. She'll be playing college basketball as well. She's just not sure where yet. She's still kind of waiting on a couple of opportunities, and we're kind of hoping it's 4 years at an NAIA school, and we're going to see how that goes. But during the course of the year, Megan averaged 15 points a game, 7 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 2.9 steals, 1 block shot per game. She led the team in shooting percentage, and she also shot 77% from the free throw line. So she filled up the stat sheets, and honestly, I voted for her as the player of the year in our conference, but I can only nominate her for that. I really can't vote for her. And did you get second place? I think she got second place. Okay. Unfortunately, Cody went undefeated during the course of the year, and they had one really good player too. And so their girl actually won that award. But Megan was top 1 or 2 in most of those statistical categories and had a great season for us. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where she goes in her next endeavor in life, and we're really excited to see what that is. And if you would just give her a round of applause for her great efforts and her great career at Green River High School. Thank you, school board.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, boss.
Okay, next up we have Miss Lori Ivy with the Allstate boys basketball participants.
Listen, I hate going after Coach Carroll. He's always got something funny, and I walk up here just with panic. I always think about my early day interviews with Chairman Core, and then having to show my face at Lincoln Middle School and have Matt Mickelson corner me in the office and say, "We have got to have a talk about your public speaking." It wasn't good. It wasn't good. So, good evening, Chairman Core, Superintendent Behringer, and Board of Trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Green River High School boys basketball. We have amazing kids in our community, in our school district, and in our basketball program. Tonight, I would like to highlight 2 players on our team who are both first team all conference selections and Allstate nominees. Austin Fox is not here tonight. He is on a little vacation with his dad, but his mom is here. Austin Fox was able to play several positions for us due to his athleticism, versatility, and intelligence. Austin is the definition of selflessness, and he was willing to do whatever was needed for the benefit of our team. He consistently brought communication and energy with him into every practice and every game. He made a conscious effort to build others up during times of adversity. Great players allow themselves to be coached. They make eye contact, they listen, and they welcome coaching. They crave getting better. I could not think of a better way to describe Austin. I always say that I wish intangibles were part of the voting process for all conference and all state selections. If there were categories on YO preps for glue guys and best teammates, Austin would have been first in the state in all of those categories. This year, Austin was chosen first team all conference and named all state honorable mention. Up is Dylan Taylor. Come on up, kiddo. Dylan is one of the most talented athletes to come through Green River High School. He has an undeniable passion for the game of basketball. Dylan was our leader. Wherever we went, it was because he took us there. There was never a time he wasn't willing to lay everything on the line for our team. Dylan appeared in several of the top 10 statistical categories for not just our conference, but as a leader in the state as well. He led our conference in scoring the entire season and finished second for rebounding. He's a multiple all-conference and all-state selection. This year, he surpassed the mark of scoring over 1,000 points during his high school career and holds the second place spot in school history for most points scored in a single game, scoring 42 points against Evanston in Evanston. Additionally, Dylan was unanimously voted as the #1 player in the 4A West by every single coach in our conference, clinching the 2022 Western Conference Player of the Year. Austin and Dylan were both team captains, and while their athletic accomplishments alone are impressive, those could never tell the real story of why they are both so incredibly special. Dylan Taylor and Austin Fox are champions of character. Both are extraordinary athletes and exceptional human beings. Thank you.
Dylan and Miss Ivy, before you step away, I know Steve wants to say something, but I wanted to read a snippet of an email that we received regarding Dylan Taylor, Austin Fox, and Jax Peterson. This was from Joe Wilson, a basketball official from the Natrona game on February 5th. And he started by saying how respectful both the boys and girls team was. He was very appreciative of their sportsmanship the entire evening. He said, my officiating crew and I were impressed with how the girls team continued to support each other and play hard long after the outcome was decided. The boys team in particular, Kason Ivy, Austin Fox, Dylan Taylor, and Jax Peterson are fine young men who carried themselves in a manner I'm sure you and the rest of Green River schools could be proud of. They were respectful of the opponents, polite and appropriate with us officials, and of course they let their playing do the talking. From the moment we held the captain's meeting until the final buzzer sounded, every player wearing a black jersey on the court was the epitome of what a student athlete is supposed to be. We came away from the game impressed with the caliber of people in the program at Green River. While we don't root for any particular team as officials, we certainly have a reason to wish them well the rest of the season. Thank you for the leaders of young men and women who represent themselves, their team, and their community in such a fine manner. I want you to know it's a huge deal to get an email like that from official, and I hope you carry that with you the rest of your life. You guys are leaders, and I can't wait to see the great things you do as you go forward. And Mr. Core has something.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something here. You guys all know out there, I'm a stat rat. I keep track of everything. And even though I no longer do the games on the radio, I still keep track of all that. And I had the privilege of watching Dylan, his sophomore, junior, and senior year, from the home games, at least your junior and senior year. And people asked me, a guy came up to me when I announced that night that you were the number 3 guy on the list for scoring in Green River High School history. The guy came over and he took a couple of stabs at who he thought was 1 and 2. And I told him, no, you're wrong. The number 1 guy is Stan Dodds. And Tom Wilson can attest to Stan Dodds' ability on basketball. He's 6'8", and he is in the Hall of Fame at the University of Wyoming, played for the Wyoming Cowboys. The other guy that's number 2 on the list is Richard Smith. And Richard Smith was a 7-footer for Green River. And so they had a little bit of height on their ability to score more than you did. One played in the 60s and one played in the 70s. So I'm thinking in 30 years when people say, who is the top 3 guys? So somebody in Green River is going to score over 1,000 and your name's going to come up, Dylan. And I think that's a heck of an accomplishment. So I commend you. I certainly enjoyed watching you, and some college out there needs to grab a hold of you. I don't know if you've committed to go somewhere, but you're a great kid. You got great parents. You got a great family. And Dylan also not only 2-time All-State basketball player, but a 2-time All-State football player. And he holds some receiving records for Green River in football as well. And Dylan was recently named the Perseverance Award winner for the Football Association in the state of Wyoming, helping his mother through some tough issues. And so Dylan, congratulations. I'm proud to say I watched you play basketball. So congratulations.
Okay, Mr. Parsons, we have you with the national qualifiers for speech and debate.
So board and Superintendent Behringer and Madam Chair and everybody here, thank you for inviting us. I was really excited to come today and share the success that some very special young people from our community have enjoyed. So all I can say is, wow, what a comeback Green River Speech and Debate has been able to make. Go Wolves. We are a really young team. I have 4 seniors, I have 5 juniors, and the rest of the 39 of them are sophomores and freshmen. COVID hit us hard. Not being able to travel, all that stuff. I think it hit us hard, arguably, than many other teams. And here we are with 39 kids and 8 national qualifiers. And it really has been something. Only the kids that were really the most dedicated were able to sort of stick it out despite personal hardships, despite financial hardships for many of our families. And I really just wanted to take a moment of everyone's time and explain what these kids did. It's not an activity that everybody understands that well. What these guys did is they volunteered to spend weekend after weekend after weekend public speaking. Not everybody's favorite thing, especially when you're, say, 14 to 18. And they're going to talk about things that matter. They're going to talk about things that many people are going to find mundane, but are yet important. And they're going to jazz them up and they're going to educate. They're going to change the world one round at a time. That's literally what they try to do. They spend thousands of miles on a bus. They attend practice from October to March. Every night, Monday through Thursday, 2+ hours a night. That's a long season right there, just in and of itself, not mention the travel. The competition itself is cutthroat. People don't always understand how cutthroat it is. Your son does. Anyway, after all of that, these 8 kids managed to finish in the top 1 to 2%, right? And earning a chance to go and represent Green River High School and our community in Louisville, Kentucky this year. But more than that, and this is important, please. They learned how to talk about, they learned how to call their judge sir and ma'am, because that's a team expectation. And they know to compliment their opponents after every round when nobody's watching, because that's a team expectation. They respect authority, but they also respectfully question it, because that's a team expectation. They understand that the best way to prove that you have a good mind is be willing to change it. They don't shy away from healthy public discourse. They seek it out, something that's becoming rare. Proud is not a strong enough word for what I am of these kids. I am inspired by them. And frankly, I think you all should be too. Our team motto is a Latin phrase, omnis partus referet. I'm going to have them talk about it. Come up here, guys. These are my 8 national qualifier. One of them couldn't make it. Oh, no, there he is. Hey, Carter. You snuck in on me. Awesome. Just right here, guys. We start out every meeting and I say omnis partus referet, and you respond? All the pieces matter. They do. Mia Whirl, why do all the pieces matter?
Because every little person and every little thing that someone does plays a much bigger role than what a lot of people think. I mean, take a puzzle for example. Every little piece matters to make a bigger picture.
And you can't finish the puzzle without all the pieces, can you? Nice. Abby Smith, why is your piece, your oratory, why is that particular piece important?
Well, my oratory is about boundaries, how to set them, and the importance of setting them. And although it may seem a trivial topic, they pertain and have a massive role in our everyday tolerance and relationships and communication.
Douglas Leffers, why are you personally an important piece of the puzzle?
I would say that I'm an important piece of the puzzle because the way I help our team is I take the new people into our program. I help them learn the different events. I help them understand what they're doing. I help them try to get over that fear that we all initially have of public speaking.
Faith Duncan, why is the young lady standing next to you, Laurel Kurth, why is she an important piece?
Laurel is a very important piece to our team, constantly supporting, even when she's had a difficult time, when she's not having the best time, she still will come up and support somebody. She's watched hours of my steps.
Abby Matson, why is Carter Tuttle an important piece?
Carter Tuttle is an important piece because I know that he can get really stressed about things, but he still pushes through, and he shows us that working hard can lead to great success. And he's very young, but he has shown great potential to go far in the things he does.
I told him I'd ask him questions, but I didn't tell him which ones. I could keep going and I don't mean to cut anybody out. Okay, y'all good? Cool. Good job, guys. So I think it's safe to say that the Green River High School speech and debate kids on this team, they know what they stand for and they know what this team stands for. We're about building people first before we worry about competitive success. If we do that, then the competitive success takes care of itself. And that's starting to happen really rapidly. And I didn't do this alone. None of us, I did this alone. My wife, Beth, over there, supports me in a way where I couldn't do this job. It's too demanding. It's too much time. She has to take care of all that stuff at home. And I want to thank you for that, honey. I have two wonderful assistant coaches who love kids and are kid magnets, and they're dedicated and passionate, Nick Hoskins and Renee Johnson. We have 3 volunteer coaches. They don't get paid a dime, and they show up week after week after week, day after day. They travel with us on their own dime sometimes. Brian Taylor, Krista Cassidy, and Chris Andrews, who doesn't live here, and some of you know Chris, but he Skypes in twice a week to work with kids. Right? And he's actually traveling the national tournament on his own dime, paying for everything himself to help us out. And he's going to drive his truck so that we don't have to rent one more car and save us some money. I also want to mention administrative support. Mr. Beardsley, where did he go? Oh, here he is. And Mr. Heslop, Mr. Mr. Gantz, and Schwartz, thank you, Mr. Schwartz. I just have thank principals on here. All of those folks have really, in one way or another, done things that supported our team. Mr. Behringer and Mr. Gantz, Mr. Schwartz even got on the bus to wish us luck going to state. That's cool. Anyway, at this point, let me just let these guys introduce themselves. They know how to talk. And you guys got an idea what you're going to say? Yeah, tell them what you're going in and who you are and all that. Okay. I'll just try to take one. Why don't you go up?
Okay. Hello, I'm Abigail Madsen, and I'm going to nationals in storytelling. And you're probably like, what is that? Well, basically, I act out a children's book. And you're probably thinking, why is that important? Because, you know, sometimes things have to be fun. And I know that childhood stories are especially important for kids and can be an impactful part of their lives. So, yeah.
My name is Douglas Leffers. I'm a senior in high school, and I'm going to nationals in Big Questions debate. And so essentially what that is we get a topic at the very beginning of the year, and we have the entire year to prepare both an AF and a neg for that argument. This year, we're talking about, the resolution is on balance, religious belief or religious practice and belief benefits societies. And so in Big Questions, I am preparing an affirmative and a negation case in order to prove whether or not religious practice and belief is in fact beneficial to society.
I'm Mia Worrell, and I am also a senior, and I'm going in poetry. I don't write the poems myself, of course, but I actually interpret other people's words. And so in poetry, you normally have one topic that you cover with multiple poems. My topic is learning how to love yourself and not changing who you are for anybody else, because that is genuinely important. And I think that's just simply a message that needs to be sent out. And a lot of people just need to learn that.
I'm Mason Tollefson. I'm a sophomore, and I qualified in nationals in dramatic interpretation. And now you might be like, drama, isn't that a Theodore's kid thing? Yeah. And I'm not ashamed. I get to make people sad. Woo!
Hi, I'm Abigail Smith, and I qualified for nationals in oratory. I'm a sophomore. And so basically oratory is you go and you write a persuasive speech, and you get to choose whatever topic you want, and you go and you try to convince the judge that your topic is correct, and then you give them a call to action. And after a round, you always want your judge to walk away thinking, okay, how does this affect me? And I feel like the topic of boundaries isn't brought up enough in serious conversation. It's more in passing. And so it's a good topic to talk about in an oratory round, because you're going out there and you're making people think.
Hi, I'm Faith Duncan. I qualified in Congress and International Extemp, and I'm intending in International Extemp, which a lot of you probably don't know what it is, but it's one of the most boring speech events, but it's really important to me. You see, each round I get a question such as, will the French oil deal be beneficial towards Uganda? And then I have 15 minutes to write a speech with 10 different sources in it, and then another 15 to memorize it, and then I deliver it to the judge. And it's a really important event to me because it allows us to take these boring issues such as oil field deals and really analyze them for our judges and have an actual conversation about them. So thank you.
I'm Laurel Kurth. I qualified in humorous interpretation for nationals. And it's basically a one-man show. So when I'm performing, I get to put myself in somebody else's shoes, but mainly I get to make people laugh, which I really enjoy doing, even though I don't have any jokes today, but it's fine. I really look forward to going to Louisville this summer. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carter Tuttle, and wow, I never thought that I would be here. I always dreamt of going to nationals. I thought it was so crazy, but here I am standing in front of all of you. I made it to nationals, luckily, in Congress for House. Now, Congress is boring. However, we all know within the status quo, there are so many problems. And of course, the only way to solve those problems is through pieces of legislation. Now, with Congress, it's super fun and entertaining. You go up there with your best buds and you present legislation, you debate it. Yeah, that's a great idea, or no, that's a terrible idea. It's just absolutely fantastic. Beyond what everybody else has already presented, I'd love to bring up the fact that there are infinite amounts of social interactions. Not only when going to state did I get to meet all of the amazing, intelligent people that went to state, but also when I inevitably go to nationals, I'll be able to meet all of those amazing people. I get to see other people's cultures and meet brand new friends and lifelong friends that I get to take with me absolutely everywhere. And I think that's beautiful. Thank you.
So I would be remiss not to introduce my three captains who also help make our team a real family. So Mia Worrell, stand over here, and Abby Metzen and Douglas Leffers. So not only are these guys captains, but they're national qualifiers. Pretty cool. And I want to say that they're true leaders and they deserve a thank you from me publicly. These guys run team meetings. They conduct practices. They hold real leadership positions. They make phone calls. I mean, they are all over it, and we can't run a team of our size without them. So I wanted to thank you guys, and I'm so glad we get to go to Kentucky together. So please give them a round of applause and all of these guys. So I often challenge these guys to go out into the world and change the world one round at a time, as I said before. How cool is it that they get to do that on the national stage? Right. This is the world's largest and most prestigious speech and debate competition. It's an international competition. They're going to go up against kids from South Korea and China and all over the world, as well as all over the country. That's the best of the best. It's exciting, and they are going to represent us all very well. We can all be very proud of them. Anyway, at this point, thank you so much for having us. It meant a lot. Thank you for letting me share them with you. And if you have any questions for them or me, yeah.
I just want to say that's a very impressive group that you have, and I wish you all the best at nationals and can't wait to hear how you do. Anybody else?
Go Wolves.
Yep. Okay, we have Mr. Beardsley with the Allstate, All-American, and National Cheerleaders.
Any cheerleaders that did make it, come on up. Yes. Good evening, Madam Chair Morris, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Behringer. First of all, excuse my attire, but I just came from a very warm soccer game. And which we beat Rock Springs. The boys did 2-0. And even better than that, unlike when Rock Springs and Jackson played last week, and some of you probably heard there was a scrap or a fight, we didn't fight. We just won the game. So, and our girls played great too. They didn't win, but they played great. But it is a pleasure and an honor for me tonight as the activities director and also as the father of a cheerleader that is part of this team and has been part of this team for 4 years to present all of our all-state cheerleaders to you tonight, to the school board. So First of all, I'd like to say that to earn Allstate, the cheerleaders had to perform a cheer, dance, jump sequence, standing and running, tumbling, and they were scored on their GPA. And also they had to have recommendations from their coach and all of that. So it's a tribute to their coaching staff, tribute to their parents and their family for supporting them, and a huge tribute to all these kids. Many of them are all-American cheerleaders as well. And let me just say, the neatest thing that I saw at the state cheer championships this year was that every all-state boy cheerleader and the only all-state boy cheerleaders were from Green River High School. And they made that a point. And then I think it was Damien that came out to do a flip and he about missed the flip and everybody like, whoa. So was that you, Damien? Yeah, I know. I knew it was. So the other thing is, before I introduce these great athletes, is I think everybody knows that through their hard work, they placed 5th again at the National United Cheer Association National Championships. And they did that in the game day division. And really, they're a better co-ed team than they are game day. They won the state championship as well in co-ed. And it's one of those events that if you have one little mistake or just don't do something perfectly, you're not going to win that event. But to go to the UCA championships and take 5th place again, what a great deal. And they're state champs. Good job. So with all of that, let me introduce, and when I say your particular names, please raise your hand so that everybody knows who I'm talking about. Okay. First of all, I've got a junior, Mr. Damian Holmes, all-state cheerleader. Don't miss your flip next year, Damian. And I think Damian, you and only one other boy may be the returners. Dustin Berg, right? So we got a ways to go there. We're losing some great boys here, some of the best in the country. Luis Batista, is he here? Luis couldn't make it. He was over at the soccer game, but Luis couldn't make it. He's a senior on the team and a 2-time all-state selection. Brooks Riley, there's Brooks. Brooks Riley, all-state senior. We're going to be missing him. Brooks was a stud. He did hit his maneuvers at state, and so we're proud about that. Alex Atkinson with the bad knee. Senior, gonna miss him. He was an all-stater. Who was All-American that I mentioned so far? Who was also All-American? They're also All-American. So what happens is when they do the UCA camps, so we bring in folks and the coaches work with them. And during that camp, those national coaches rank and watch, and they have the kids go through certain things at the camp, and they'll determine if you're an all-American caliber cheerleader. It's amazing how many all-Americans we had. Raise your hand one more time, all-Americans. And that's just in this group right here. So very good. Excellent. Did I do Branson? Yes. Branson Barton. Oh yeah, I did. Senior, all-state cheerleader. Alyssa Drinkle. Is Alyssa here? No. She's a sophomore and she's already a 2-time all-stater. Awesome. Derica Meeks. I don't see Derica. Derica is a senior. She's a 2-time all-stater. Addie Beardsley, my daughter's not here. A lot of these kids are at Skills USA, believe it or not, or they're just doing something. But my daughter's at Skills USA trying to help us win that. She's a 3-time all-state cheerleader. And I'm upset at her right now because I don't know if she's trying out for Wyoming or what, but that's a whole different story, folks. Abby Cook, senior. I see Abby, one of our 4 years of dedication. Abby, thank you very much. Senior all-state cheerleader. And Zoe Castillion. Is Zoe here? Zoe is a freshman all-state cheerleader and an excellent cheerleader with a great career coming up. And Sean Ariano, all-state cheerleader. And, you know, you and Damien both dominated on the soccer field today, beating the Rock Springs. So, but anyway, Board of Trustees, Madam Chair Morris and Superintendent Behringer, it's my pleasure to one last time congratulate these kids and all of the kids that couldn't be here that are Allstate and the entire team and the coaching staff and all the parents. Thank you for what you do, cheer team. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, give me a break, Mr. Behringer.
Alicia Bernard, Lincoln Middle School. I'll be over in Lincoln.
Okay. And if there's anybody that wants to sneak out, you're welcome to leave. We're not going to judge you, so go ahead. Okay. Public comment. Now is the appropriate time for visitors in the audience to be recognized and to speak on items both on the agenda and of general concerns of the patrons of Green River Schools. There will be a limit of 3 minutes for an individual and 5 minutes for a group spokesperson. No speaker shall speak more than twice on any issue. The board is legally obligated to maintain confidentiality concerning district personnel, and therefore matters concerning district personnel will not be discussed. Do we have anyone that would like to speak this evening? No? Okay, moving on. I have first item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by Tom,
Second.
second by Ashley.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to take 8.02 off.
Okay, do I have a motion to amend and remove eight? You made the motion. I'm sorry, I need a second on that.
I'll second.
Dave, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And everybody in favor of the amended agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I have approval of the consent agenda items. Do I have a motion? Moved by Brenda,
Second.
second by Ashley. Is there any discussion, anything anyone would like to take off? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries. Okay. District goals and leadership activities. Just a reminder, we have our Granger meet and greet tomorrow. If you want to drive with these guys at 5:30, they will leave here. Otherwise, meet at 6 o'clock out at Granger. And I did ask them to put balloons where we turn because I go the wrong way if I'm not with you guys, but. And reminder of interest-based negotiations with GREA on April 21st at 6 p.m. in this room. Report on NSBA convention. I'll start. It was a great time. We had a lot of great sessions. It was nice too that one of the plus things of having COVID, which I know that there's not a whole lot, but you got to access some of the sessions you didn't get to make. They had recordings of them, which was really good. And so if there was anything you missed or overlapped, you could go back and watch those. But they had a lot of great speakers, a lot of great discussion. For me, I think I've talked to a lot of people that went. It was a good reminder of how well we have it in our district, and what great staff and teams and students that we have and how lucky we really are. So Dave, did you have anything to add?
I would just add that as I talk to other people, I feel lucky to be here in this district. They face some challenges that we don't yet,
Mhm.
but we will. It'll trickle its way here, but so far we're doing okay.
Brenda?
Yeah, it was very educational, very informative. Homeless to Harvard and Mr. Rogers, special feature presentations were amazing. But yeah, we are very fortunate in our district.
I think I'll echo that. Most of the sessions I attended had to do with leadership and how to wear your board hat appropriately. And since I've never had a board hat on before, it was good information. So, and just being able to network, not just with the people from Wyoming and superintendents and board members from Wyoming, and there were a lot of them there, but from those around the country. And it just goes back to echo, when you talk to somebody from New Jersey or Maryland and you sit down and have a conversation, we're pretty fortunate.
I agree. Mr. Core?
Oh, I had a real interesting one. It was only supposed to be 50 minutes long, but it was LGBTQ, transgender athletes and those kind of things. And that ended up being a 2-hour discussion. And the lawyers were there talking about it. Obviously, Wyoming legislature tried to do something, but they didn't pass the bill. And so I'm assuming that we'll probably have to deal with this issue. And I have some information on that. So that was a good conference. I never really knew who did FUBU. I didn't know that. FUBU. What's that guy's name?
Damien?
Damien. He was one of our general conference speakers and he was outstanding. That gentleman started out in the basement of his mother's home, single mother, and he's now I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he's close.
Probably pretty close.
He's one of the sharks, but very, very entertaining guy and very interesting. So yeah, it was good.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to personnel. Dr. Foos, certified resignation request.
Madam Chair Morris, thank you. Superintendent Behringer, trustees. We'll just get right to it. We have 3 resignations for your consideration tonight. Holly Province, kindergarten teacher at Truman Elementary, Kevin Anderson, STEM teacher at Harrison Elementary, and Maria Anderson.
Do I have a,
Hold on.
oh, hold on.
Mike Imoni, I need some assistance. Is Mike here?
No, he's online.
I'm going to respectfully ask that the board not consider Maria Anderson at this time, and I'm going to bring her forward in May.
Okay.
So I'm only bringing 2 forward at this time, Holly Province and Kevin Anderson. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve those certified resignation requests?
So moved.
Moved by Tom, second by Brenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, and you're back up with certified retirement requests.
Okay, at this time, we do not have a certified retirement.
Okay. Well, then we'll go on to your next one of the new certified contracts, Dr. Foos.
Okay, new certified contracts, Madam Chair Morris, and that's not the right one, Mary, the one before it. I just have to give a lot of kudos and things to the administration, Lincoln Middle School, Green River High School, Harrison Elementary, and Monroe Elementary. I am just ecstatic with the quality of people on this list and ecstatic that our district is able to fill the majority of our positions. And I think that speaks well for the building level administrators, and it speaks well by the leadership of the Board of Trustees that people are still wanting to be a part of this district. So can't speak highly enough of this list that I'm bringing forward for your consideration tonight. So I'll just read them all. Shayla Jensen, elementary teacher, Monroe Elementary. Holly Hunt, elementary teacher, Monroe Elementary. Casey Core, elementary teacher, Monroe Elementary. Whitney Fotheringham, elementary teacher, Harrison Elementary. Julie Burgess, elementary teacher, Harrison Elementary. Daniel Mast, counselor, Lincoln Middle School. Catherine Weibel, sped teacher, Truman Elementary. Brianna Herron, sped math teacher, Green River High School. Jamie Brady, sped transition teacher, Green River High School. Tommy TJ Castillion, assistant principal, Green River High School. Edwin Munoz, physical education teacher, Green River High School. Julia Rosie Gustafson, welding, Green River High School. Lindsay Newman, first grade, Truman Elementary, and Eureka Hill, Title I, part-time, Truman Elementary. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the new certified contracts?
So moved.
Moved by Brenda,
Second.
second by Ashley. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chair, I vote in favor of all of them. I'm going to abstain from Casey Core.
Okay, thank you. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And now approval of 22-23 certified contracts.
Okay, Madam Chair and trustees, I'd just like to point out in the consent agenda item of the openings, that thing is trimmed way down to probably 1 or 2 vacancies from what you saw in the board docs last week. So again, a lot of building level work and hard work by the folks out here in the audience. The next list before you is our folks who are moving forward in the district with employment, and thank you for your consideration. So if you've been in the district for a year and you haven't resigned or retired, your name is on the list.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do I have approval of the certified contracts for 22-23? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Tom,
Second.
second by Dave. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now approval of the 22-23 administration contracts.
Okay, we're just going to get right to it. Michael Iomoni, Administrator, David Asselmeyer, Administrator, Franklin Trey Bailey, Administrator, Craig Behringer, Superintendent. You guys can go ahead and prove him tonight too. Sorry, Craig. Anthony Beardsley, Administrator, Anne-Marie Covey, Administrator, Christina Dean, Business Manager, Alan Demaray, AS for Special Education, Gregory Ferginzer, Administrator, Jason Foose, AS for Human Resources, Jacob Gantz, Administrator, Joe Hamill, Administrator, Darren Heslop, Administrator, Stephen Lake, Administrator, Matthew Mickelson, Administrator, and Ralph Obray, Administrator. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 22-23 administrative contracts?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Gore, and second by Tom. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very
Fuchs.
much.
Appreciate it. Now for curriculum, we have the Lincoln Middle School Mastery Connect program with some of the Lincoln staff. Mr. Mickelson.
Madam Chair Morris. Sorry, I got to adjust this a little bit. Superintendent Behringer and members of the board. As you know, we've been working on teacher clarity, and I think you've heard it throughout the year. So we're going to show you just a different phase of the teacher clarity that we've been working on over at Lincoln. And it's a data tracker that we use just to really support so we know what the kids are working on. So I'm going to introduce my team as we get to their part. So we'll just bring them up as we get to where they're going to be in here. So I'm going to go ahead. Do I have a clicker? Okay, so if you see what's on the screen right now, what we try to do is we take our essential standards, which are down in the left corner there. We take what the YTOP believes that we should test and our kids should know and be able to do. And we use our PLC process and we put this all together into what's called Mastery Connect, just a data tracker for us so we understand what kids know and are able to do. So when we take a look at this, we look at our 4 PLC questions. Number 1 is what do we want our students to know and be able to do? And number 2 is how do we know if those students have learned it? And that's really where data tracker comes in for us in Mastery Connect. And so the next 2 steps are what if they don't know and what if they do know, moving on. But we're really focusing on step 2 here. So I'm going to have Ms. Kelhofer and Ms. Hooten. They're going to talk a little bit about language arts and the LLI program and how it relates and how they use it. And then I'm going to have Ms. Krinos talk about math. Mr. Hamill is going to talk about some of the other features with Mastery Connect, and then Mr. Bailey is going to go over how this works in our IEP process. So with that being said, I'm going to just start this off real quick with an 8th grade math. This is what it looks like when we pull up 8th grade math. And we put all of our assessments in here and we put all of our standards in here. And it shows you across the board there how many of our kids have mastered those standards. And so it's our tracking piece to go through there. So this 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th period, and this was done a couple of weeks ago, and our YTOP window open, as you know, today, and math's going last. And I think they're thankful for that to get the rest of what they need in before the testing starts. But this was from a couple of weeks ago when we pulled this up, but it just really helps us track and say, hey, did all the kids get to these standards? How well are they doing on these standards? And what we need to do better, and what areas we can beef up, or which areas we need to go back to before we get to the YTOP assessment. So with that being said, I'm going to bring up Ms. Krinos to talk about what it looks like and all the little boxes you see up here.
All right, so when you look at this, geez Louise, not that tall. When you look at this, up at the top are all of the standards that we have identified via the state. And we can also put like a P above them and say which ones have we identified as priority standards in our district. And if there's a little number up next to it, it tells you how many times we've assessed that standard. So some of them are more important and we may have assessed them 7, 8, 9 times. Some have only been assessed 2 or 3 times. Whatever you see up there, color-wise, that's the last time that assessment was given or that standard was tested. But I can open up any one of those standards, and if it's been assessed 8 or 9 times, I can see every test that was given for each one of those areas. So I can say, okay, when we tested this standard in this section, you were proficient, maybe you struggled and were below basic here, advanced here. So I get a whole picture rather than just saying, well, yeah, he can kind of solve equations. What does that mean? Pop it open and I can see exactly in each area how do they work? Which also gives me the ability to go back and say, well, if you're not proficient, is this a priority that we need to go back, reteach, re-instruct? Is it coming back around again? So it allows me to track. The kids also can track and say, okay, you've tested it 8 times and I was only proficient 5 times. I'm not there. I need some more work on that standard. So they can also take that ownership upon themselves to go back and look and figure out what they want to do with it. You want more than that? Okay.
So as you can see up here, the blue means advanced. And so eventually we want all of our kids to move to proficient or advanced. If they're red or yellow, that means usually the first or second time that we assess this is their first attempt at it. So you don't really know. I mean, we're not going to judge them on how well they do in the first time they've ever seen it. And so as we go on and we assess them more in that, that's why we like to see it fade to blue as we go across here and show the advancement. And there's some kids that struggle in some certain areas, and we can really hone in on what that area is and what we need to focus on. So next up here is Ms. Kelhoff or Ms. Hooten. They're going to explain how they use it with language arts.
All right, so in 7th grade language arts, we have consistently used Mastery Connect, just like 8th grade and 7th grade math have as well. Oh, okay, yep, that's not the same one. But what we have found this year and consistently using it is that we changed the focus of our program a little bit to be more reflective of the standards that we want them to learn. So we found that we were not diving deep enough into standards, that we're kind of focusing more on surface level with some of our standards. And so as we progress through the year, we've started to really look deeper into making sure all kids have that proficiency. You will recognize on the screen up above that sometimes if a kid doesn't have if they have a blank space, that we as a 7th grade team have chosen to only put data in if they have tested. If they haven't turned in assignments or haven't tested, we really want to reflect what they know. I don't want to put in a 0 because that's not a true reflection of their learning. This is a tracker from quite a ways back. We have it filled out now that we're progressed further into the year. We found that the data that we get from this is great for parent-teacher conferences. That immediate feedback we've been able to share out with parents and leading to really good conversations about how they can help their students and how we can help them help their students. It's also, I teach with Mrs. Croft. I'm sure most of you know her, and this is a weekly conversation for us and our planning and what standards we're looking for kids to be more proficient in. And so we continue to work those into our teaching. And finally, it's been a really great communication between 7th grade language arts and the SPED. And we've been able to offer better interventions just looking at the data.
So I'll talk about that piece. So I co-teach with Ms. Kelhofer. I'm a special education language arts teacher at Lincoln. And so while I'm in her class, I can easily pull this up because we can share a dashboard. So we can share this with each other. I can input data as she's doing stuff, or she can input data. I can go in here and then pull small groups back to help within each standard, or I know that those are just the kids that I need to touch base with more often on those standards. You'll also notice that there's like a grade out column in the middle. That's when we give a multi-standard assessment. So this program will allow us to give multiple standards on one assessment, and then it will break it down for us. So it'll give us an overall score, and then it'll also put into which standard, what they were proficient in on that assessment. And then as I talk with Ms. Kelhofer, and we do IEP stuff, we also use this as a better conversation with parents to talk directly about skills and not only about, that, yeah, if they did their homework, they would do better in class. So I know as a special education teacher, this has really opened the door to help teachers have those hard conversations about standards and skills. And then with our co-teach, it's definitely helped us to be more specific about what to really pin down as needs for students.
Oh, you already moved it forward. Okay, so some things within Mastery Connect that we can take advantage of to help create some of those assessments. So there's an assessment bank. That bank has thousands of questions that we can pull from. to put on an assessment. We can tie our curriculum maps and pacing guides to Mastery Connect, so we can take looks at, if we're going along at the pace that we thought we were going to, that sort of thing. We can get all sorts of reports. So we can get reports for PLC meetings, and we meet within departments, whether it's science, social studies, math, language arts, or some of our specials. We can use those reports when we meet with students and parents. We can use those reports in IEP meetings. Grading, this program is going to allow us, if we move to standards-based grading, to incorporate that into what we see in those charts. And we can use our current grading practices to take a look at that information as well. We can tie it to the student portal in Infinite Campus. We can tie it to the parent portal in Infinite Campus. Right now, there's a belief that down the road that we're going to be able to take grades that we have put in Infinite Campus and directly put them into Mastery Connect. That's not quite available right now. And then we can compare how our students that we had last year compared to how the students are doing this year. So we can look at areas that we have done really well and maybe areas that we need improvement on. So next up is Mr. Bailey.
All right. Our team, our special education team meets monthly with Mr. Demeray. And if I've learned anything over 3 years, it's that the present levels portions of our IEP should paint a really good picture of who our kids are, what they're able to do, what their struggles, deficits are academically, behaviorally, socially, emotionally, all of those things. From an academic perspective, when our general education teachers have, as we've moved more towards that push-in model, and we're trying to get more of our special education students in those higher level courses, our general education courses, when our general education staff is able to really be specific in their feedback of how kids are doing, it makes for a much more successful IEP meeting when we're with parents. So this is an example, and it's a little lengthy, and it does get into some of the kind of behavioral pieces there at the end. But Mrs. Huber is one of our 8th grade math teachers who works with Miss Krinos, and Miss Huber's top notch. And she does a really, really nice job of using this Mastery Connect data to talk about what the special education students in her class are able to do or not do, or what their struggles are. So when you read through that, she's being really specific about the standards, how they're performing, how they're progressing, how they're growing. And it's just really powerful when we're able to get into a meeting with, we're around the conference room table and a parent says, well, how is my kid doing in math? Well, this is really, really specific. And, I think it's an evolving process for us as we work to really try to develop gathering data like this, building wide. Mrs. Huber is a tremendous example. But when our case managers are sitting in meetings and they're saying, I'm going to give you all of your kids' teachers' input on how they're doing throughout the school day, when we can put together 6 to 8 staff members who are able to really put data into the present levels portions of an IEP, if we have a kid who transfers to another district, or if they transition from Lincoln Middle School to the high school, our special education team has done a really, really good job of beefing up that portion of the IEP. We want our kids, when they go to another place, whoever inherits them, we want them to have a really good depiction of who they are as a student. And this is just one example of how a general education teacher can communicate with a special education teacher and make for a really powerful IEP meeting.
So I think you can see here, it's a nice data tracker. It's really helping us. It's helping us move forward with the standards and what we really want to accomplish in the classroom. So I just want to say thank you to all these guys. They're the ones who make it work. They're the ones who put in all the time, the data, the input and everything into making this thing a powerful tool for our kids. So thank you. Any questions?
Anybody? No, thank you so much. We appreciate you and all the good information you just gave us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, now we go to bid request items. I have JR, you're up first with approval of a bid for network storage array.
All right, Madam Chair Morris, Superintendent Behringer, members of the board. We received approval to go out for the purchase of a network storage array that is up for replacement this year. We are requesting approval to purchase the unit from Dell Marketing at a cost of $83,219.83.
Do I have a motion to approve the bid to Dell Marketing at a cost of $83,219.83? Moved by Brenda,
Second.
second by Ashley. Any discussion?
Was there any other bidders?
There was no other bidders. This is a sole source just based on how it integrates with our current systems and our virtual environment. And Dell was the only one that fit that criteria. So
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you. Christine, I have you up next for authorization to go out for an RFP for band uniforms.
Madam Chair Morris, Superintendent Behringer, Board of Trustees. We've received a request for proposals, and we would like to request permission to replace the Green River High School marching band uniforms, not to exceed 60,000. We're going to go for 100 uniforms. They would be purchased out of our special reserve for equipment fund. The current uniforms that we are using were purchased in 2009, and they've seen better days. I did include Mr. Kalinsky put together a nice proposal on the uniforms, and it's in the board docs for you to review at your leisure, but we're requesting permission, please.
Okay. Do I have a motion to go out to an RFP for band uniforms not to exceed 60,000?
So moved.
Moved by Tom, second. Second by Dave. Any discussion?
I would hope that 2009 uniforms, Wilson, maybe you'll wear one at your Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Fit right in.
They could probably make that happen.
Yeah, I'm sure they could find one that fit.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, and now we have someone joining us virtually for the Region 4 BOCES Mill Funds request. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, hello. Someone will be moving the slides for me. Is that what I'll? Perfect. Okay. Hello, everybody. Madam Chair, members of the board, superintendent, thanks for having me each year. On behalf of my board, I come out and request mill funds from each of our 13 member boards. And part of that request, I provide a short presentation. I believe that the presentation materials were provided to you ahead of time. I just want to go through a couple of the slides quickly and then stand for any questions and kind of tell you our plan. First slide is our vision and our mission. We've currently changed. This has been up here long enough. You've read it. We have changed this vision and mission. I think it meets what we're currently trying to provide to our member districts better than our previous vision and mission. We are also, just of note, working on our branding and our website to update those things to be a little bit more user-friendly and update materials that haven't been updated for a while. Go ahead and scroll ahead. This next slide I've provided before. This just gives you an overlook for those who may not remember what we provide. We are a network of accredited K-12 schools. We are up to 6 schools now. The 2 that are most important to Sweetwater number 2 is CBRV Residential Treatment Facility in Wilson, Wyoming, and Roosevelt Learning Center, which occupies the old Jackson Elementary School, which we now call Roosevelt Elementary School. Go ahead and scroll ahead. These schools provide services for special needs students in your district when the programming inside the school is not appropriate for whatever reason. These provide alternative options for your district, and as I've been coming here the last 6 years and presenting, we've added several schools to that. Roosevelt Learning Center has been one of the first day schools in the state. And now I believe I know New Boces is even creating more. So there's a growing demand and need for these alternative type of services. And I'm just glad that we have something in place in Sweetwater County. Go ahead and scroll ahead. The next slide talks about our outreach services. This is something that we started after I began, and we're really trying to build this out and provide more services just other than residential treatment or day school, but psych services. And I know your programs and some of your schools contract some of those services from us. And we're trying to figure out how to provide them at an economical way to the district, but meet our needs. And there's just a lot of needs. And we're trying to really figure out how we can become more service orientated to our member districts in these areas that are maybe difficult to staff or maybe low incident areas. And we're just continuing to ask questions, meet with our member districts, and get feedback on other areas that we can expand into. Go ahead and skip ahead. Our funding sources, this is consistent to what we've shown before. Again, 80%, there's some notes on the side, are generated from billable services. Those are the schools and the programs that we're developing. 11% is generated from the mill funds that we receive from our 13 member districts. And then 9% is generated from grants. I have one comment on, well, I have two comments. One, the second bullet under 9% is generated from grants. A reminder is that 9%, unlike your guys' grants where you can put that to programming, we don't. What makes up the majority of that 9%, our grants we receive are very much designated for certain things. And what makes the largest amount is that we wrote a $2 million grant for the state that we're helping the WDE implement threat assessment guidelines for every school district who wants to participate. So that's what makes up that. We're the flow through for that grant money and when that gets funded, and that is the comprehensive school threat assessment guidelines. So when you see that 9%, it's a little bit of, it doesn't really help our bottom line is what I'm trying to say, but it does help the state and what we're trying to accomplish. Go ahead and jump ahead. Our expenditures, I enjoy seeing this. Our pie chart is getting more slices of pie, which means that we're growing. The big thing here, our site expenditures include all their own maintenance, transportation, food services, major maintenance, and capital projects. So we see each of these little entities as their own, and that's what makes up those pies. And that's kind of a breakdown of where our expenditures and where we're spending money. As it continues, CBRV Residential and CBRV Ranch School make up a lot of our cost. That's having kids on your facility 24/7. It costs a lot. Go ahead. I have some COVID notes. COVID impacted a lot of people. You can read through those. We were really impacted at CBRV. Initially, we made it through, but it's just been hard to maintain staffing. And then Teton County went crazy. And what I'm hearing is that we're not the only institution that's running into this, but we're just having a hard time staffing. And our competitors in Teton County, more than others, have, it's costly to hire people when we're starting a para at $17 an hour and Target's hiring at $24 an hour. It's kind of a no-brainer. And so that's been a challenge. We provide really good services for some really difficult students who need our services. And it's been hard for us to do that because it's hard to find staffing to do that. Go ahead and skip ahead. Some additional COVID impacts. Again, just more of what I was saying, limited ability to take district referrals. We've been denying them. We've had a big decline. Again, I think we're hopefully getting out of this slump. So we'll skip ahead. I don't want to talk about all the negatives. Here's some more current financial impact. Again, our impact on this has been significant. Last year, the first year of COVID, we were able to get a PPE loan. That's the only COVID relief funds that we've received to help offset some of these impacts. We've talked to the governor's office, the WDE, and it's hard for us to get any of the ESSER funds or anything. And most people will know, my opinion is that I think some of those funds could be targeted to all institutional schools, not just Region 5 BOCES, that had the similar impact to Wyoming students across there. So this year we didn't really receive, and so we're expecting to have a bit of a hit to our reserves to operate. Go ahead and skip ahead. Here's our financial report up to date. One thing I wanted to talk about, I like to kind of pick out targets we've been talked about, but we do carry cash reserves. And you can see that. And I think the big difference for our cash reserves is that that's all we have. We don't rely on any other, we receive no other state funding, no major maintenance. So if a boiler or anything like that, a roof or major repairs happen, we need to have a pretty healthy reserve to be able to meet that need. And so there's just some more information about that cash reserve, kind of how we utilize it, what we look at it for. Go ahead and skip ahead. I'm kind of leading into a conversation about now capital projects and major maintenance. Here's our 10-year projection. Underneath these numbers where you can see that, we do have project lists that are there that you can see. But what we're projecting to see about 8.3 million short in 10 years for necessary capital projects that we're anticipating. We are in need of some major updates and repairs to the school and replacement of student residences. And these funds are included in these projections. These projections are under budgeted as shown in the next slide. So if you want to scroll ahead, if you look at the highlighted, we went out for some bidding. We projected, our projected cost for our project was, we budgeted 200,000. And it was the cost to replace the siding on the building of our school. And the bid came in to be $1.6 million, a variance of 1.4. So costs of everything have skyrocketed. And it's just going to be expensive to do some of those different projects. We're still key, and we want to put some keyless entry in, but that's going to take a whole upgrade of our wiring system and to get up to speed on some of the new, I guess, supervision or safety and security measures of our facilities. So just a little bit more, just to give you a glimpse of what we're talking about. This is the siding. When we looked at it, to get something a little bit more durable to handle that weather, so we're not doing that, came in a bit higher. There's some notes in there. You can see that, yeah, it's a project that needs to get done, and we're just starting to have some conversations. If you go ahead. So I'm here to talk to you about mill levy. And currently we request, and the board wanted to do the same thing. We had kind of a mixed view. We request 2/10 of a mill, but at the end of the day, it's really the district's choosing. And so I come out and ask the board for 2/10. This year, the board is not officially asking, but the same for 2/10 or whatever the district offers. But they've given me the offer to have the board consider, if they want, you can up to 5/10, half a mil, you can do that without going to your constituents. And so this just shows, if everyone would contribute a little bit more, how that would change our trajectory for some of these projects that we need to do. If you want to jump ahead, this just gives another view of that same trajectory of if every member gave 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10. Region 5 BOCES Executive Board supports requesting increased mill levy support for projects, CBRV, siding, roofing, keyless, and 40-year-old cottages that we need to replace. So if you scroll ahead to close, how are we going to change this negative trajectory? Well, under operations, we anticipate increasing some of our rates to increase the covered operational costs. Our rates have not been looked at or touched since 2016. There's been a lot of increases, as you're aware, due to inflation, increased costs of most things. Increased wages at CBRV Ranch. So we've already done this measure. We've already moved to start increasing some of our cottage staff and other staff at CBRV Ranch to be able to recruit and retain more staff and ultimately accept more students. We sponsored a bill, BOCES as an LEA, that was not introduced, but will be as an interim topic this summer to help find more revenue for us to operate. For those of you that are active in the state, I say this at the meeting, I've knocked on all doors to find alternative funding sources to provide the needed services that we have. I oftentimes get pointed back to our districts to have that, even in regards to the ESSER funds and the stimulus relief funds. They will not give them to us. We have to partner with the district. When we go to the districts, they're like, what? And so so that's something that needs to get investigated because we have some big projects on the way. We'd like to find alternative funding sources, but oftentimes when I go for those, we get a door shut on us. And it's for some of this education funding, it's because we're not an LEA. And so this bill was going to allow us to be an LEA for very specific purposes. It was not to take funding from districts, not to take any of your 6B money, which others thought. It's not even necessarily the money we were looking at. There's oftentimes discretionary grant funds that come available at the state, and we don't get access to those because we don't have the correct designation. And really, it's becoming a point where we're not even sure what our designation is currently. And so that's something that needs to get looked at through the education committees and hopefully can get some resolve and possibly alternative funding sources to provide, like I said, the services to our students. And then capital projects and major maintenance. This is something that we're looking at possibly asking some districts, and some districts have agreed to increase the mill levy at least 1/10 of a mil from member districts to cover some of these projected projects and anticipated increased costs or anticipated shortfalls of 13.3 million. So you can scroll to the last page. What I would add to that as well is we are meeting with WASIA next week. Alan Demaray, your assistant super special education, is acting SPED director, and we are starting to have this conversation more at a state level of what our role should be, how we should do that. One thing I really want to do as we're talking about fees, as we're looking at alternatives, to really bring the special ed directors, particularly members and superintendents, to have them have more of a voice in some of the decision. And I think that's a next step in our evolution, in our partnerships and working with our district, is to start getting more voice. I hear that often from our board members, and I want to thank David Young for serving. He's great. He shows up, he participates, and we appreciate having him. And as much as we've appreciated having Brenda, as I was having there. So we've always had very good support from Sweetwater too. And I'll stand for any questions if you have any for me. Went through that pretty quick.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah, Dan, I got several questions here.
Yeah.
Can you tell me which school districts are above 0.2 mils?
Yeah, above 0.2. So officially, or what has been said?
Yeah, what's been said?
Okay, so I haven't met with Carbon. I haven't met. So Lincoln, number one, Kemmer, I believe, is going to look at an increase. Fremont 14 and 21 are above 0.2. Sublet 1 and 9, I have not met with. Uinta 6 has given indication. Uinta 4 has given indication that they will increase. Uinta 1, I have not met with. I have not met with Teton County. And Sweetwater, I didn't get a read.
Okay. This is going to sound crazy, but I understand your budget dilemma you're in. Have you guys thought about moving out of Teton County?
We have. I appreciate you asking that hard question. And yes, we have. Our board has.
We may have some space available for you.
Huh?
Sweetwater County might have some space available for you.
I think so. And so we have entertained that. Member Core, I think that's a great question. And I think that's something that before we do that, we need to get superintendents and special ed directors involved, because I think that would be a pretty big endeavor that we would need some of that district support. One thing to note with that, we gain nothing by losing our land in Teton County. We are doing, this is something, since you asked the question, I'm going to go there a little bit more with you, a little bit more detail. We're going in and understanding what the agreement was, how we purchased the land. We get a lot of things anecdotally, but we don't have a lot of hard record. And it's been quite honestly hard to find what the rules are up there and what our flexibility is. So as part of this conversation about looking at alternatives, we need to understand what we get, what we don't get with that property that we have in our membership, which is pretty valuable. But if we don't gain anything from it, I mean, I know we cannot sell it and get the $1 billion we would get for that wonderful property, because it would go to a land trust. But before I get really deep into those weeds, we really want to investigate that. And we are currently doing that.
Okay, good. I think you're aware in Sweetwater County, the Trona industry in our district pays 85% of our tax bill. And I think anytime we look at possibly raising the property tax mill levy, I would want that discussion with the Trona industry to determine if they'd be willing to go from 0.2 to 0.3, 4, or 5, because they're going to pay 85% of it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And
if you want us to have that discussion, I guess we can. Your board member is in the Trona patch, so he might be able to help us out with that. So, they're an extremely important part of our economy in Sweetwater County, and we need to make sure we take care of them.
Member Core, I appreciate that comment as well. And I think there's alternatives to maybe avoiding the mill levy. But again, that's going to take conversations with our special ed directors, our superintendents, to see if there's other ways we can meet our needs through other mechanisms. And, one way is utilizing the 401 and maybe just raising rates a bit more and not touching the mill funds. So there are other alternatives that we can look at and how other BOCES have done that. But again, we're really going to start communicating with special ed directors and superintendents and business managers. So we create a good system that's going to be responsive to that, get our needs met without overcharging what we don't need, and being respectful to the industry that's in our neighborhood and not taxing them.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, I would certainly encourage you to work with the districts before you raise rates. So we're trying to work on our budgets as well.
Yep.
You raise rates, that's more money out of our budget. So we need to make sure we're on the same page there.
Yep. And we don't distinguish between members and non-members. And I think where we would have a more significant increase is to our non-member.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. You need to know that this district's looking at about a $600,000 deficit in our revenue this year. So, we're having to do some creative stuff too.
Yep.
So, and we're in the process of working on that budget. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Great questions.
Anybody else have any questions? No.
No questions, just a comment. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to present that. I think that it gives us a clear picture, and we do serve a lot of kids that aren't making it in our normal schools, and it's nice to have a place for them. So thank you for the presentation and the service you provide.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much, Dan. We appreciate you zooming in.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to zoom in.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
All right. We will move on to consider approval of Union Telephone's non-exclusive right of way easement with JR.
Madam Chair Morris, Superintendent Behringer, members of the board. Yeah, unfortunately, Kathy Campbell from Union was not able to make it. She lives in Evanston and the roads are pretty terrible apparently. So fortunately, in the state of Wyoming, the state is focusing very heavily on getting fiber optic internet out to rural areas. So this fall, the Wyoming Department of Enterprise Technology Services has bid out fiber optics to McKinnon's elementary school, and Union Wireless has won the bid. We are now asking for your approval for an easement for them to put in the fiber optics from Highway 414 along the road to have, I think it's 3 different manholes or vaults where they're going to have access to the fiber optics. And then it's going to come into the northeast corner of the building into our network closet.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the Union Telephone's non-exclusive right-of-way of easement in McKinnon?
So moved.
Ashley moved.
Second.
Brenda second. Any discussion?
I have a couple of questions, if I could, JR. I don't know if you can answer them, but it appears to me that there's more than just school district number 2 property involved in this, or those highway easements that they're going through under the highway over into our property.
So I'm not sure on that, but I believe they already have an easement on the highway. And in fact, they already had a vault there. So the fiber optics runs all the way into Manila. So yeah, they would tunnel across and then
It does go to Manila.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the McKinnon residents, any issues out there with it?
Not that I'm aware of. In
I haven't
fact,
heard anything either.
yeah, I think they might actually be able to get some better internet because of it. So
Sure.
yeah,
Okay.
not yet.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
this
this would be a help. We appreciate you guys coming to the school board meeting tonight.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out why you were here. Now I know.
currently we're using wireless, which has been a problem with the winds on Hickey Mountain. The tower's blown over several times and McKinnon's been without internet for days at a time. So
This is
we're
good then.
very excited about this.
Good thing.
Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Lisa Robeson, we have you next with the approval of GREA negotiation signature sheets. Thank you. Madam Chair, school board members, I'm sorry, I can hardly talk. And Superintendent Manager, we have collected signatures from our staff. The entire staff, not all, everybody, they sign off each year to give us permission for the Green River Education Association to do negotiations. So this is about, I don't know, how many years have I done this? We have 59% of the staff signing off on that. This year, we did it a little differently. We did electronically instead of having to carry around clipboards and getting signatures from everybody. It was a little easier. So I'd like to present these signatures to you and I'm glad to see you all. Thank you. Thank you. To have approval of the GREA negotiation signature sheets.
So moved.
Moved by Tom. Thank you. Second by Dave. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next we have, is it Miss Ledford? You're going to have to pronounce your first name for me because I don't want to butcher it. Sibin, is that correct? You can, when you get up there, you can tell me. She's shaking her head. No, okay.
It's Siobhan.
Siobhan, okay. See, I totally butchered that. She's
That's
just
okay.
waiting. Okay. Do you want to go ahead? And this is for the Southwest Wyoming BMX outdoor track request for rec board.
Yes, so Madam Chair, Superintendent, everybody on here, thank you for your time today. So we are on the board with Southwest Wyoming BMX.
You need to identify yourself.
Oh, I apologize. I'm Heather Salinas.
Siobhan Ledford.
Alicia Wagner.
Thank you.
Of course. And as stated, we are here requesting $50,000 to support the outdoor track that we have slated to work with the city of Green River to put over in the current, where the current outdoor track is like a Yeah, mountain biking track, right, that's over there. So Brad and I worked very close together. We got a contract in place. And as part of that, our commitment to the community is that we will build a pump track that can be used, by anybody in the community. So what BMX is, bicycle motocross is, there's no motors, it's just a bike. And what we need is going to take a lot of work. We're a nonprofit and we're run solely by volunteers and we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're very excited to see what this is going to do for our community. As part of this, we have a lot to do with building the track, a lot of dirt, surveying. Thankfully, we have the backing of USA BMX. We are sanctioned through them. So they carry the insurance on the area that we will be leasing with the city of Green River. And we carry our own insurance as well. So want me to cover our shopping list? So we have, obviously, this will be split with volunteers and contract work. So we're at the process of figuring out who our volunteers are, who can run equipment. And like I said, providing a lot of dirt. We have to fence the area per our contract and our insurance obligations. With that, we have a starting gate that'll be part of the design, a canopy for the area or for the riders, to shade them from the heat of the day, depending on when we do our races. We have buildings where we need to do the registration for the riders, bleachers. So just a number of things that we have on our goal list to get in place this year. Yeah, so Alicia has more information on that and more information on what BMX is. And it's not just, riding your bike and that's it. It's.
Can I hand these out to everybody?
Is that okay? So it's what it brings to the kids and to our community, not only financially, but, as learning skills for the kids and helping them to ride a bike. They develop friendships everywhere. And I know Mr. Lake knows, I'm sure Ms. Montgomery knows how much my son loves the sport. And he has lifelong friends from all over the United States. So we currently run the indoor season at the events complex in Rock Springs. So we have 18 races. We host about 18 races and that season runs October to March. We just finished up. So obviously we're ready to get going on this and it was very successful. I think our last March race, we had people from Florida, Washington, all of our neighboring states, they come here. So it's fantastic. It's wonderful sport.
So what's the total cost of your whole project? I'm sorry, I maybe I should do a motion first, then ask questions. I apologize. Do I have a motion to approve the 50,000 requested from Southwest Wyoming BMX outdoor track from rec mill funds?
So moved.
So moved by Tom, a second,
I'll second that.
second by Steve. Okay, any discussion?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So
So what, getting to her question, what is the proposed budget for this project? Start to finish, done.
Once we have, so the start cost is going to be different from our finish cost because our long-term goal is to eventually asphalt our corners. So it's easier for us as volunteers to be able to maintain the track and keep it safe for all of our riders. With USA BMX help, when we were kind of first starting out, our proposed cost, if we were able to asphalt everything and concrete our start gate and have everything exactly how we wanted it in like our 5-year goal, it would be a little bit closer to $100,000.
Okay. What's our $50,000 gonna buy?
We have to start with buying and putting our 6-foot perimeter fence around the entire area. And then the dirt to build the track. It's a special dirt that we have to have brought in. And then it's a tack seal that we place over the top after our track is built. It will help with the water and stuff to not break down our track so much to help keep our volunteer work the minimum as possible because it's already so high.
Okay, so you're saying your project cost 100,000. How much in volunteer in-kind cost would there be? Or what you're shooting for? I'm just having a hard time believing this project's gonna cost 100,000. If you had a contractor come in and do no volunteers, what would it cost?
Just renting the equipment, I think would cost way over 100,000. All of our equipment is donated to us.
Okay,
So we don't pay for any equipment rental fees, anything like that. We have people, part of our fencing was actually volunteer donating their labor to us. So we're just paying for the materials. And then the company is gonna come in and put our fence up for us. And then the dirt, we were still waiting on a couple of quotes, but the dirt alone is outrageous.
The dirt's gonna be a lot, yeah, and I know the city's offered to donate some that's over there. The starting gate was donated to us, so we do have that, but
if we give you the $50,000 tonight, will this racetrack be available to the public within this summer?
Yes.
I'm having a hard time in my brain giving 50% of your total cost because a rec mill, typically we don't do that.
Right.
If we were to do 20,000 and then you can come back next year and ask for some money, is that doable? Are you going to be able to get some work done with 20,000 this year and possibly get kids on the track? You see what I'm saying? I don't recall us funding other than in-district stuff 100% from the public. That's where I'm struggling. I want to help you. I think this is a good project. I think this fits into the rec mill deal, but I'm just a little concerned about the total cost to the rec mill.
Part of our total would be, so the one thing that we've decided to kind of downgrade and not go with is our gate. So there's two different types of gates that you can use for a BMX track. So we went and we got one that's been donated to us from a track in Gillette. So it's used, it's gonna need a little bit of work and tune up to it for it to work for us. But our long-term goal again would be to put in a roll gate. So it's got a drum roll barrel, so it's actually a lot safer for the riders to use than just the flat drop gate.
What does one of those cost new?
Brand new is over $30,000. And that's not installed.
Right.
right.
I don't know what everybody else thinks.
So on this breakdown,
Mhm.
it has a total cost of 152,000. Is that to,
That's if everything is 100% brand new.
And what are your other funding sources? Like, how are you getting more other funding?
Just the fundraisers that we do at our races and the income that we get just from the little bit of races that we do on the indoor season.
Okay.
Donations primarily. Businesses helping to provide the equipment. We have people to run the equipment, but honestly believe the huge cost is going to be the dirt.
Do you have
and the
a
fence.
estimate of what the in-kind amount that you're getting? A dollar amount of, they're donating their labor. What does that cost? So actually the cost of the project should include what those in-kind services would cost you if they weren't
For the
donated.
labor.
Right. So if they're donating the labor and they're donating equipment, without those donations, your cost would be 300,000. What,
Easy,
I mean,
probably.
that would be nice
Easy.
to
Mhm.
know.
The events that you run, are they profitable? Are they break even? Take a loss? How does
Most
that-
of our events are break even or a loss. Our big month was March, and that's where we make the most money.
Mhm.
Only because of our overhead costs that we have with the events complex.
Right.
Okay.
So
Is there an outdoor track in Rock Springs?
No, not anymore.
There used to be.
It
Yeah,
used to
about 5 years ago, they tore that down.
Was it a city track or just a private track?
It was at the events complex as well.
I see.
My question is, building it's one thing, who's going to be responsible for maintaining it?
We are.
Is there a contract to that effect or
There is.
just an agreement or a?
Yeah, we have a contract with the city and they'll help us. I can't remember if it's on a quarterly basis or something. As long as we organize the event, then they'll help promote it, bring others in, pull weeds, whatever, just to help.
Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Tom.
You're putting up a fence. That gonna be locked? Is this no access unless it's a sanctioned event or practice or whatever you?
Okay, so that was my question, is how available to the public is it going to be if it's locked?
For the racetrack. So there's two pieces to this. We have a racetrack, then we have a pump track. The racetrack is for the sanctioned events. And that's just how, the races work. How we run our insurance with USA BMX. The pump track, on the other hand, is open to the public. And that's a longer term probably project, because we would eventually want to completely asphalt that. I don't know if others, if you know, familiar with pump tracks anywhere, but it's a little, it's a flowier track. Anybody can ride it. You can ride your scooter on it. 1-year-olds can be on there. So that piece will be open to the public.
Okay. And you're doing both pieces at the same time, the pump track and the racetrack? Okay.
Yes.
The pump track you guys are also maintaining? Or
Once
just
that,
the-
once
the
that's
pump
built,
track?
once it's built, we'll donate it to the city.
And then they maintain it?
Correct. It'll be city property.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions?
I would propose an amendment. Somebody wants to hear it.
Can we scroll down just a little bit? Is the cost of the dirt on here?
I don't think it is. I think we were still waiting for a quote at the time that we turned this in.
So that could be another 20 or 30,000,
Oh, gosh, at least.
at least that much.
When do you
Yeah.
anticipate getting started?
Our
Soon as
first,
the weather allows.
our first task is to organize the volunteer events. Well, what we need to see is who are our volunteers, how are we gonna get started, and then start developing a schedule. In line with that, start working on who's our contractors, what do we need to contract out? So it's just a lot of effort to see kind of where we're at, but
Okay. And one other question I guess I have is, since this is a reimbursement, do you guys have the funds to spend up front and then get reimbursed for this?
no, we don't.
No.
Mhm.
Well, you could probably, knowing that you're backed by the rec mill 50 grand, you can go get a loan from a bank, and get the money, and then we reimburse you the costs. I mean, it's doable. I wouldn't say that's a roadblock for you. How many Green River kids are in BMX?
A lot.
Not as many as in Rock Springs.
How many kids are in BMX?
In our,
Our March races, which brought in other states, but we had almost 800 riders.
No, I want Sweetwater County numbers. Do you know what that is? I mean, are we talking 5 kids from Green River in BMX? Or are we talking 50?
Probably 100 total in Sweetwater County.
About 100 in Sweetwater County.
Mhm.
I would propose that maybe we get some more information for next month's meeting. Maybe we can table it. Because I think if we can see the whole project and all of the costs, the dirt, the volunteers that you're getting, and I mean, this application maybe doesn't paint the whole picture. But for us to donate $50,000 for what's on paper as $150,000 project doesn't fit with our guidelines for the rec mill. So maybe you guys do your organizational meeting and come back to us and say, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna pay you back whatever you decide to fund. I mean, I think I need more information.
I totally agree with that. And we really want to help you. But I
This is
think
a
we
great
need
use.
more information. This is good for our community. This is good for tourism. This is good stuff. But I think we need more information in terms of what would that dollar amount look like in kind?
Sure.
And what's the plan for raising the rest of the funds? Where are they going to come from? Because I think one of the concerns I have as a board member is, are you going to be back here next year asking for another 50,000, or is this a one-time shot? Kind of like to know where the money's coming from.
I'd love to come walk through the project too. I'd like to walk down there and see what your plan is.
I would move to table this until
Okay.
next month.
Brenda moves to table. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second with Tom. Any discussion? All those in favor of tabling till next month, when we get more information?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, thank you. And if you,
If you gals need any help with what we're trying to accomplish here, Mr. Behringer is obviously available, and so is Mr. Hamill. He's our maintenance guy.
Sure.
yep, and then we'll make sure that David has your contact information, so he could do that walkthrough with you too. I think that would be.
He could probably provide a lot of
If-
in-kind help right there.
If you're available this week, then I plan on going down there with the contractor. So yes, no, but thank you for your time.
When are you
I-
going to
I
be down?
understand.
When are you going to be down there?
I was gonna go Friday.
What, you
So-
got a time?
Not yet, no.
Let us know.
I will.
We get time, we can come down and look at it.
Okay.
Thank you so
Anything's
much.
better than what we got down there now, I can tell you that.
Yep.
Right. So, well,
All
thank you
right.
for your time.
Thank you, ladies. We appreciate it. Okay. Moving on to consider of approval of the GRHS Theater and Student Council monetary request from Mr. Skinner.
Our Chairman Morris, Superintendent Behringer, and board members. Thank you for those of you, if anyone was able to come out and see our Shakespeare play of A Comedy of Errors. In theater, people always, when they don't see the stage and eventually they get to it, there's always small little pieces of tape that we have across the stage. It's actually called spike tape. We use that to mark all the locations of when a set piece or a prop moves on and off the stage. And I would like to use that for this podium just to see how much Richard Carroll moves this thing whenever he talks. All right. So we're here. We have two leadership opportunities for students within student council as well as theater students this summer. For student council, we have an opportunity of taking our student leaders, some of which have diligently been sitting through this meeting today with us, and we'll be taking them to Orlando, Florida for the Jostens Renaissance Global Conference. It is the world's largest educational conference specifically targeted towards school culture and climate, which we really want our student leaders to help us focus on in our school year. For the theater department, we have students who have qualified to participate in the International Thespian Festival this summer in Bloomington, Indiana, which we will be taking. Currently we have scheduled for that 5 students that will be going to that. And then we have 14 students that are currently scheduled to attend the Renaissance Conference in Florida with us. So we would just like your consideration for some support in getting these students to these events this summer.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we, from our board, I think we're okay on our board discretionary. I just looked at it. We're good there, right? From our board discretionary, what we've done in the past is $125 per student. So the total amount would be $23.75.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Tom. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you and good luck. Okay, and next we have consider approval of GRHS Speech and Debate National Monetary Request from Mr. Parson.
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees.
Just 1 second,
Yes, sir.
Dan, first. Brad, is there adults going on this? Are you going? And how many adults are going?
To Florida with 3 adults.
Oh, there's 2 trips. Okay. And you have the same kids going on both trips?
No, different kids.
Okay.
Okay, we'll deal with your second trip here in a second. I didn't catch that piece. Okay, so don't run off. We might give you some more. Sorry about that, Dan.
No worries. Yeah, we're going on 1 trip.
8 wonderful students and how many adults?
2. Yeah,
2.
Chris is
10.
going to meet us out there. So yeah, you hopefully you've got this in front of you. I think I'm low on the airfare, unfortunately. I was looking at that. I think this whole thing's going to cost us another $1,500 or so on airfare. But in any case, yeah, June, Louisville, Kentucky, June 12th to the 17th. About 8,000 kids are going to show up there. 8 of them are going to be Green River students from, last count, 9 countries. And yeah, this tournament's been going on for almost 100 years, and it's been 3 since we were able to go. So I'm pretty excited about it. And so whatever help we can get. Right now, the breakdown's looking like the whole trip's going to cost $1,200 to $1,300. You can see that, which is an intimidating amount of money to me to try to raise. But we've worked hard at it already. We got a raffle going on. We've got
You meant 12,000
or 12,000. Thank you. Yeah.
1,200. We'll pay for that.
I'll take what I can get. But
Well, we are about to give you $1,250. I can tell you that.
So, whatever questions I can answer and whatever, I don't know what the next step is.
Before that, I was a little panicked out about the fundraiser at the rest stop, but
Yeah, no, we scrubbed a couple of them. I have a little kind of fledgling booster club, and we all met to try to raise money, and we just brainstormed all these ideas, and then everybody just grabbed them and went with them. And at some point I had to say, wait, some of this we can't do right now, right? So yeah, we've kind of, but we do have we got a great raffle going on. If anybody wants to buy some raffle tickets, let me tell you.
you saved me $300, but I'll probably still go.
Well, this community is a very giving community. I don't think you'll have any troubles raising the money. But like getting back to what we're here to discuss, I would make a motion that we approve 125 for 10, including the 8 kids and the 2 adults, 1,250 or discretionary funds.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Brenda. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you
Yep,
so much.
good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Madam Chair, can I have Brad come back up to
Yep,
the podium?
Mr. Skinner, could you come back, please?
My pleasure. I love it up here.
Yeah, so we've approved 2,375 for the 19 kids that are going where?
So it's 14 that we have for student council and then 5 for theater.
Okay, so we've covered the kids on both trips. I mean, really?
Yep.
Technically. And how many adults are going?
So
How many school employees are going?
that would be 5.
5.
So we have for the student council trip would be Mr. Clerk, myself. My wife is going to go with me, which we do not need funding for, and we're just going to cover that for ourselves. And then for the theater trip would be myself and Miss Julie Mortensen, assistant director.
Okay, I'm just going to do some quick math here. So we need an additional $625 for this project. I'd make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So the total amount is 3,000 from board discretionary.
Thank you.
You
Is
bet.
that for the first trip or is that?
I think that there's 19 total kids.
19 total kids
5
for
and
both
4, we
trips.
covered everything. So. yeah.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry about making that so confusing.
That's all right. Miss Dean, I have you up for approval of a special revenue budget amendment for ESSER 3 funds.
Madam Chair, Superintendent Behringer, and trustees, we've added 2 amendments. We've added a general fund amendment as well as a special revenue amendment. So if you don't mind, we could do the general fund amendment first.
Okay.
And this is more of a housekeeping amendment. Our 2,000 instructional support area, we did have some shifting with some psychological and physical therapy services, shifting of costs, and we're pulling those from the 1,000 area and 3,000 area to cover those. Request your approval on that.
I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion?
Yeah, what's the total amount here then?
Yeah.
So we're pulling $118,500 into 2,000 instructional support.
Got it. So thank you for moving the cursor down there, Mary, and directing my eyes to where it needed to go.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now to yours.
Okay, next we have our special revenue budget amendment. And this is for our ESSER 3 grant, which is now approved. And this adds $5,656,676 worth of our ARP ESSER 3 grant into our special revenue fund.
Make a motion to approve.
And I have a second from Brenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Great.
you, Chris.
Thank you.
And you stay right there for budget updates.
Okay, just a quick budget update. For FY22, the current year, the year-to-date revenues are coming in as expected. And expenditures currently are projected to end the year a little bit under budget, partly due to technology and curriculum expenditures that qualified for funding under the ESSER grant. So we're in good shape for FY 2022.
How much is that, Chris? Do you know off the top of your head?
The
amount we're going to be under?
Ballpark
it.
Would you say about 700,000, right in that neighborhood?
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Going forward for the upcoming fiscal year, FY 2023, revenues are projected to be down over $600,000. And as we've discussed at previous board meetings, it's mainly due to our loss of enrollment that we experienced in 2021. We lost 183 students. That loss is going to be realized over 3 years through a 3-year rolling average. So we're in the second year of handling that. We did get 30 kids. We are projecting to have 30 kids more on our ADM this year than we did last year. But when you put that up against 183 reduction in enrollment, it helps a little bit. So these assumptions are based on stable enrollment, not going up or down. Within our funding model as well, just so that you know, the legislature did approve an external cost adjustment just for energy and supplies. But what they also did is they sunsetted the external cost adjustment that we received last year for salaries. So there was a little bit of a trade-off. The net of that is about $100,000 that came to us, but the overall loss is $600,000. Our ESSER funds going into FY23, thankfully they're there. They will assist our district to continue the current level of services that we're offering. They're going to be used to support students, and these are qualifying expenses under ESSER funds. They're going to be used to support students in the classroom, in addition to providing intervention supports as well as mental and emotional well-being supports. It's also going to be there to support teachers in the classroom by maintaining current class sizes, providing staff development to support effective teaching, as well as mental and emotional well-being supports for staff. So the big picture for FY23 and FY24, the budget process is going to consist of balancing our state-funded general fund budget, which is reducing, with our time-limited ESSER federal stimulus funds. It's going to be a balancing act for the next 2 years. That's my budget report for tonight.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Foose, you are up.
Thank you, Madam Chair Morris. This first one's just really straightforward. The majority, all policies now can be found on the website under policies. They're updated in real time. The days of having to find the 3 ring binders in principal offices, schools, those things, they're gone. They're updated in real time. So this is just a real simple update of this policy, just needing your quick approval for the amendment.
Okay. Approval of the amendment to policy BFD, policy dissemination. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Brenda, second by Ashley. Any discussion?
Can we get rid of our 3 ring binders?
You probably could, yes.
Yes.
take him to Craig's office.
We'll bring them to your
Craig's
office.
gonna, he sounds like he's gained some research to do from tonight's meeting, and we can also take all the 3-ring binders to his office.
Thank you.
Find mine.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And next up, approval of amendment policy GBC staff ethics.
Yeah, the Lighthouse Services contract with the district's been expired for years. And if someone wants to make a report based on this policy as staff ethics in question, there's numerous avenues. There's the building AR reps, there's the supervisors, there's the principals. There's now SRO officers since the last time this policy was looked at. And there's many avenues for someone to make a report if they believe something unethical has taken place. So we no longer have this contract and we need to take it out.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the amendment to policy GBC staff ethics?
So moved.
Moved by Tom,
Second.
second by Steve. All those, or any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, approval of revision to policy EEAD and consider revision to policy EEAD, special use of school buses.
Tony had to leave early and Rachel's, I think, is remoting in as well. But on occasion, we do have church groups. Super 8 committee knows we had the report there. But we have church groups and other entities that, sorry, Tony, that request the use of our buses on occasion. And this policy was developed by the Wyoming School Board Association, lawyers, Copenhagen's office, and obviously our lawyers, Hickey and Evans, took a look at this. And thank you for your consideration for a first reading on this policy. It'll go to Super 8 2 more times. We'll check for corrections, but it'll be a 3-reading change.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval of revision to policy EEAD, revision to policy EEAD, special use of school buses, first reading? Moved by David, second by Brenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
All right, this policy is just a policy we're going to retire because the one that you just approved for first reading encompasses all the information you see on this policy. And the policy that you just approved on the first reading is a lot more comprehensive and updated than what you see here. So we're just looking to retire this one, 3 readings.
okay. Do I have a motion for retirement of policy EEADA, use of school buses by community groups, first reading?
So moved.
Moved by Tom,
Second.
second by Ashley, and all those, oh my gosh, sorry. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, board and superintendent comments. We will start, Mr. Behringer.
No, I just want to say, that National School Boards Association Conference was outstanding. Some of the things with the future of education is quite interesting. And I'll tell you, like everybody else that went, I think the kids in our state and in our community are so far ahead of the rest of the nation and where they're at. I mean, we were in meetings with schools that are really still not fully back in session for whatever reason. And so but I think the quality of kids that we bring through our schools are a tribute to, what's done in our community and state. So that's what I got.
All right, thank you. Tom?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to hats off to Tony. And, I think we're all about, in education, about leadership, and I think it starts with you. But you have 3 coaches, a testimony your kids are in good hands. When you hear Dan Parson, Rick Carroll, and Lori Ivy. So it starts with leadership, and the kids accomplish a lot of things, but they don't do it without somebody at the helm. Second thing is this week, we lost an amazing couple to the town of Lyman. So Bonnie Nielsen, who served this district for many years, she was the jack of all trades here at central office. She was, I don't know, she ran business. She worked in every department that I could think of. She was a school secretary. She was my wife's secretary. And so AKA student, principal, counselor, Band-Aid put her on her, nurse, shoulder crier. We're going to miss her. She's been a long time. And then Terry, her husband, For 3 years, he volunteered in a welding shop. He didn't get paid a dime. He volunteered his time every day, 7:30 to 3:30, 5 days a week, and never asked for a single thing in return. He could have taken positions, was offered 2 positions at Western Wyoming Community College, chose to turn them down to share his expertise and his wisdom with Green River High School students and me. I learned a lot more from him than the vice versa, but we're gonna miss them. So hats off. So.
Thank you. Steve?
Me?
Yes, you. Are you ready? Or do you want me to skip
Yeah,
you?
I don't know what to say. I was appreciate Chris and Corinne and the meeting we had the other day. I was really bummed about the numbers. I forgot about that 3-year rolling average. It's kicking our, you know what? But I can promise you, this board will do everything we can for our employees. But we also must keep this district fiscally responsible. And this is going to be a difficult IBN, I'm afraid. Insurance costs went up 6%. Is that right? Or is it 6%? $600,000 we're losing from this. And you can put this squarely on the back of the Wyoming legislature. And I'm so upset. I was so upset with those numbers I saw the other day. I just was like, we got to do something. The district's a coalition. We must do something. The state legislature is not doing their job. And to give an ECA 2 years ago and then take it away and then give us money for energy. Are you kidding me? We are in the people business. And I can't wait for the next coalition meeting. We got to do something, and we all know what that is. We got to stick up for our kids and our employees, and we got to not allow the legislature to bash these people. I'm tired of it. And I think I better quit. Thanks.
Brenda?
I love starting our school board meetings with the recognition of our students. We are doing some great things here in our district, and it just is very heartening to have that recognition of our students right at the front. And it takes all of our leaders to make sure that happens. So thank you all for sticking with us. Now it's past my bedtime, but I'm sure it's past yours too, but thanks for hanging with us. And, you know, being in Cheyenne and talking with them isn't working. So I have to agree that the coalition may be the best way to go because they're not listening. And
Thank you.
we
Brenda.
need to take care of ourselves.
Thank you. Ashley?
Chris and Corinne, thank you so much for meeting with us yesterday, and they always make things easy to understand. So thanks for pulling all those numbers together for us. Lincoln, thank you for your presentation. I think one thing that our district does really well is work in PLCs and to break down the data and the numbers and then really benefit the students from that. And so that's one thing I think we should be really proud of in helping those students to meet those criteria and to become successful students. So thank you for all you do. And I can't believe this school year is going by so fast, but enjoy the rest of the month.
Thank you. David?
I agree with what Ashley just said. It's hard to believe we're in April already. The end is coming. So thank you for another good school year. Finish strong. I know it's hard this time of year. The kids are probably a little out of hand and ready to be done. I know you're ready to be done, but thank you for another successful school year and carry on.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, thanks for everybody's hard work. Next time we meet, we'll be prepping for a graduation. So that's exciting. Looking forward to it. So we'll see you then.
And I agree with Brenda and Steve. I think it's time we have to do something different. They're not going to listen. Maybe we need to help make them listen. With the graduation coming up, I just want to throw out to everybody, there's a lot of scholarships listed through the Green River High School. And if you've got one that's near and dear to your heart, donate to it. If you haven't started, one that's near and dear to mine and to Tom's is the Macy Braden Scholarship Fund. We will keep that going as long as possible. But a lot of these scholarships help with traditional education. If they're going to voc programs, there's so many different ways you can help these kids continue their education after they leave here. So if that's something that you feel passionate about, like I do, get that list or start your own and donate to those scholarship funds so we can keep them going from here as long as possible. And now I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel, student discipline, and potential litigation pursuant to Wyoming State statute.
So moved.
Moved by Tom,
Second.
second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
I won't ask who's opposed because I know everyone will oppose it.
a motion, we end the executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Brenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. We approve the stipulated agreements with student ID number 15690, student number 20230, and student number 26628
Do I have a
as
second?
proposed.
Second.
I have a second by Brenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, my gosh. What did you just say?
Let's just adjourn.
Adjourn. Okay. Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Oh, my gosh.